Hi, Rob. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful.
Wonderful. Good.
Yes.
I'm so excited to interview you. And I've been holding myself back because we've been having a conversation, but I'm like, I want to get into it. But I've been waiting to press record. So, obviously, everyone knows you as Beyonce's backing dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first time maybe the majority of people or like within our community would have seen you is maybe on TikTok.
Yeah.
In Energy. And I guess let's start here. When I see you do that choreography that I think definitely millions of people would have seen you do now, you look so powerful and you make it look so easy and it looks so in your body and you just look like you're living the epitome of life. So maybe before we start, can you say from your side, if you like, hi guys, I'm Rob and I'm the person on the other side of that experiencing that, like, how does that make you feel? What would you want to say to the people on the other side of the screen, maybe in the audience?
Well, yes. Hello, everyone. I am Rob Bynes, turning 30 this year.
Are you?
Actually,
Congrats.
in a couple of days this
Really?
month. Yeah, this is my birthday month. And
Leo.
yes, I'm a Leo. So
Brilliant.
I guess that strength comes
There we
out
go.
on stage. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a life-changing moment for me and surreal moment that so much was put in behind the scenes before that moment. But I would first want to say thank you for anyone who has discovered me through that and all the kind messages, funny messages, flirtatious messages.
Hey, I bet.
Yeah, it's been quite the experience since that moment.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So winding all the way back, let's go back to your childhood and your background. Do you remember the first time you thought, when I want to grow up, I want to be a...
Yes, I was a dreamer of being in the NBA. Like a lot of kids, I had sports aspirations. So basketball is my first love. And I played football as well, American football. I played baseball and I ran track. So sports was my start. That was my first love. I'm always outside playing. I'm always in a sport, on a team. It wasn't necessarily dance just yet. But, the reality is not everyone is going to go to a professional level in sports because the people who make the team are so small at the higher level. So, dance was always there, but it for sure wasn't my dream at first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me the story then. How did you go from loving sports to dancing for Beyonce? That's a big question.
Yeah. It's like, so tell me. Yes. So I would say sports was the constant in my life.
Okay.
And it was the thing in the forefront, but I didn't realize that side by side, dance was also always there. I think because culturally, dance was just, something we all did. I didn't think of it as an avenue. Even if I'm watching it in a movie, I'm not watching that movie like, how do they get there professionally?
Okay.
So my earliest memories of dance was either me dancing in church or me like emulating Michael Jackson.
Right.
So I would put on my friend's dad's his suit jacket, which would be oversized. We would put on his hat and we would just be looking at Smooth Criminal video and, just anything Michael Jackson. But in terms of like a setting, I was dancing in church growing up. Okay. So we call it praise dancing. It's dancing to gospel music. And there was, community behind that. So that was my first, not even really formal, but, we did have practices and then we would perform on certain Sundays. Other than that, there's a style called Jersey Club. And I'm from New Jersey. So train ride away from New York. And we have a style called Jersey Club. And that was also just culture. Okay. Jersey Club comes from Baltimore Club, which comes from house music.
Got it.
So it's basically Chicago, Baltimore, Jersey.
Okay.
And yeah, that's something we did in house parties, talent shows, and it was basically my most common avenue of dance like that I was doing. Still not thinking about any
You
profession.
just did it because you loved it?
Yeah, like
Did you love it at that point, or was it like, this is fun, I'm kind of doing it here and there?
No, I for sure loved it. Yeah. And I think there was a shift in high school because I'm playing sports, but there was one time where I missed the bus to a game because I was dancing.
Right.
So it's almost like it was like a sign there, like, okay, you love sports, but you really do love dance as well.
Right.
But it still wasn't seen as a career option. I didn't really know about the industry.
Dance and culture doesn't seem to be the same as it is in the US and the UK. I think that's something I would like to work on in the UK if I was Prime Minister. I would definitely get dance more into our culture because there is the culture and what's happening on the ground in communities that then filters through to music videos and mainstream. And we'll get onto that. Like, we've obviously had a conversation before this. You're telling me about the New Jersey club culture coming into the Renaissance tour. Then people see it on TikTok and online, or back in the day, Smash Hits, MTV.
Yeah, Countdown.
And then it filters back through. And I think the power of dance is so underestimated. But I think, take Michael Jackson's music videos, take his career, take Beyoncé, take any artist you want to name, strip dance out of it, strip culture out of it. And
completely different.
What you're left with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like it starts with the music, but dance is hand in hand with the music. You know, we are the portrayal of what they make. Yeah. And it's innate. You see a baby, you don't have to tell a baby what music is or what dance
like
is.
My baby.
But they know how. They all do that bounce. They, you know.
My baby's got like a twist.
Yeah.
It's being filmed. So
and we get excited when it's on beat too. It's like, oh, okay, you understand.
She kicked on beat when I was pregnant, I'm sure.
Listen. Yeah. So
you're kind of growing up. It sounds like completely like woven into your life. Did you ever have that thought, when I grow up, I want to be a dancer?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
To me, it felt like I am a dancer.
Right.
I didn't think of it as I want to become a dancer.
Right.
That came once I was introduced to the New York scene and the industry. So it was my first formal, like on a team, learning from someone. My first class experience was an audition for a crew.
No.
And this is like a collegiate level team. Most of them went to Rutgers University in New Jersey. And you didn't have to go to the school to join. So someone told me, hey, you should go do this audition. And the team was called RDT. So they do competitions, you know, so you practice for 3 hours, 3 days a week. Usually it was like 9 p.m. to midnight. And then you do a set, like a 6-minute set at the end of that season.
Got it.
You know, maybe you perform it twice, but it's like, that was my first, like, oh, wow, like you guys put in a lot of hours all for this one, you know, moment. And there's only going to be 3 people that place, first, second, third, and then the rest of people, you know, that's it. Your season is over. So through that audition, through that team, through that learning environment, that was my first time learning about dance truly. Like, okay, this is what a texture is. This is what a dynamic is. This is what control is, a line, your posture. You know, seeing people be taught how to walk a certain way, learning about the different styles, because even house music had been in my life forever, but I didn't know that there was like house dance. Like I didn't have terminology for the things that my body already did naturally.
Right.
So I was like learning, okay, I do have a lot of natural ability. You're helping me structure it and put it into, you know, something that is presentable for stage or for camera, but mainly stage at that time.
Okay.
So it was less than a year after I joined that team that I got signed to a talent agency.
So how old were you when you joined the team?
19. Yeah.
You were 19, okay.
Yeah, I was 19 and then I got discovered by an agency right before my 20th birthday.
Which agency was it?
Block. Yeah.
Can we just take a moment for those that don't know? Block is one of, if not the biggest, dance talent agency in the United States.
Yeah.
The hustle is so real to get signed by Block.
Yes.
Like, they have huge auditions and people being like, oh my God, if only I could get signed by Block, then my career will take off.
Right.
So, you?
So yeah, it was a big deal. I didn't even know anything about them.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I think it was
discovered by Block.
Yeah, so when people ask how you could either audition, you can be scouted, or you can be referred. I got scouted. I was just going to take a class at Broadway Dance Center.
Right.
It was actually my first ever class at Broadway Dance Center. I was taking Kelly Peters.
Right.
And then a friend told me, hey, you should go back to his class the next week because Block is going to be observing.
Got it.
I didn't know what Block was, but I went back, started teaching it, and it was the same routine from the week before.
Oh,
so I had an upper hand. I'm so I could think of it as I wasn't ready, but I do feel like, God put me in position to be, to make that transition. So
the universe was like, Rob, you're going to be a dancer and we're going to set this up for you, basically.
For sure, yeah. They told me we're going to set up a meeting. I had to give them a headshot resume. I had to make something up because I don't have a resume. It's just like high school talent show. Right. But I mean, they saw what they needed to see. So my career started then.
And they're there to scout. Like, they're not there to...
Yeah, you don't have to be the best dancer in the world yet, but they need to see potential, a look, something like a spirit. Like, okay, I think this person's going to be something.
And also, shout out our community. This is why we do routines for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Because it makes such a huge difference when you dance something the second time.
Yeah. It was in my body.
It was in your body,
confident,
right.
For sure.
Right. Because I got signed by Clear Talent when I was 19 in the States because I did a job with one of their choreographers.
Okay.
And then I was like, will you sign me, please?
This is LA? In LA. Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, Barney, we'll sign you. Have you got a visa? And I was like, no.
Like, ooh, yeah. The V word, yeah.
They were like, okay, well, you sort that out. But they signed me. You know? But my God, the drive, like to get an agent, but not just any agent, to get Block. So the fact that happened. So, okay, so you're signed by Block. You've got this new deal. Are you like, okay, I guess I'm going to be a professional dancer? Are you 20 by this point?
Yeah, like by the time I'm signing, I'm 20 years old. Okay. This is the summer of 2014.
So are you at college or like where's your
so
your family are like,
that's the thing. I had gone to a community college, so not a huge financial commitment. I wasn't out of state. I went to a local school. But once I got with the agency, I told my mom and dad, like, guys, I think this is what I want to do.
What did they say?
I don't have parents who like try to drive education and you have to do this. They were more so like, okay, if this is what you want to do, because also financially, I wasn't able to go to some major school. Right. That would have been a greater risk or a greater switch up because it's like, hey, we just spent thousands of dollars to send you to this school. Right. But that wasn't the case. School wasn't that expensive and I had only done 3 semesters so far. And I could tell my head wasn't really in school.
What were you studying at school?
I was going for a business degree, which is general. Like if you don't know what you want to do, you get a business degree or like something like that. So it was a pretty easy thing to tell them. My mom, it was pretty simple. It was, both of them, it was, as long as you can support yourself. Right. Hey, we're behind you. And because no one had ever seen someone become a professional dancer before, they didn't really have a lot of information on what's possible. Right. So it was kind of like, I'm allowing my child to follow his passion.
There's no greater gift as a parent that you can give your child, I think. I remember I said to my dad, I'm going to be a professional dancer. And he was very busy at the time. And he was like, sure, Bonds, just make sure that you're the best at it. And I was like, okay, thanks, Dad.
That's like simple and profound at the same time.
Right. My mom had gone to the same performing arts school that I'd gone to, and her dream was to be a dancer, but she wasn't able to fulfill it and then went into the music industry. So my parents both were in the music industry. Okay. So for her, she was like, wonderful, my daughter's going to be a dancer. My dad was like, yeah, she'll just be the best. Okay, have a nice day, Yeah,
that's good.
But I'm so grateful to them that they let me do that. I think that's very rare.
Yeah, you hear stories about friction whenever a child wants to do something and the parent has their own idea of what of what they should do. For example, like doctor, lawyer.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so I'm definitely fortunate to have that sort of support, and I have a huge family.
Right.
And everyone supported it. Of course, they want to see you be able to support yourself. So anytime finances are a thing, it's like, all right, just make sure you're supporting yourself as a human, as a man first, and then your artistry will come a little easier.
Gloria Steinem had such a great quote, which is, I think if I'm quoting it right, being a parent is about helping your child become who they already are. And I heard that and I thought, that's the kind of mom I want to be.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Instead of like stifling or making them feel like they have to be
who you think they need to be or should be. Yeah. So tell me about earning a living as a dancer. Because this is why people don't want their kids to be a dancer sometimes, if they know. So paint the picture for me. Were you still in New Jersey at this point?
Yes.
So you've got a deal with Block, and I'm guessing they're starting to send you auditions and stuff. Like, how did you go from I've signed with Block to my first job and my first paycheck and paying your bills at the same time?
Right. So that signing was in July. I didn't book a job until the following year in March.
How many auditions did you do in that time, do you think?
Let's just throw out 5, 6. Let's just say that. Maybe more.
Okay.
But because of how diverse Block is, I had a lot of castings for, stuff that didn't even involve dance. It's just like, oh, you fit the look for this
right.
commercial, this, we're going to send you these sides. And, it was small things. I didn't really have any. Well, I did have like a major Nicki Minaj audition, but I didn't book it. It was just like, oh, wow. That was my first time seeing what a typecast is. I'm walking into the room and guys are doing push-ups and sit-ups, and like people are like putting baby oil on, like just trying to get the best body possible in that moment. And I'm like, oh man, like,
this is intense.
We have to take off our shirts and like, So that was my like, oh wow, this is the industry moment.
Right.
And I recognized the choreographer from Step Up. I'm like, oh, that's the guy. Like, I'm like, oh shoot, like I'm amongst these people. Bo Casper.
Okay.
Casper Smart, yeah. So all those months, I wasn't working in the industry, but I was teaching at a local dance studio, which is not really much money at all. Luckily, my mom wasn't charging me for rent. I didn't have to, I wasn't paying a phone bill or anything like that. So stakes were low. I'm just 20-year-old that's still figuring it out. So it didn't hurt too much to not have anything financially, but I was still on that team.
Okay.
So my life is still, dance. I'm still dancing for many hours a week. So it's more so a period of growth more than seeing results come in.
Yeah.
And when I booked my first job, it was a music video. I think the pay was only like $400.
Okay.
But the music video went...
For how many days?
1 day.
1 day, okay.
1 day, which if you think about the rates now, that's actually low. But maybe things were different then. Well, for sure they were. But I was able to show something because here's this music video getting millions of views. Right. And you can see your son, your brother, your nephew, your cousin. Hey, look, Rob's on TV. He's in this music video. I wasn't even dancing in it. I was acting in the music video.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Do you know? Can we say which one?
Yeah, it's Jadena, Classic Man. I'm a classic man. Like that 2015 song came out, and it was at like the beginning of his career. So here he is. Who's this guy? So the music video did really well. And even though I knew I didn't make that much money, I was still able to smile because I'm like, wow, I'm really doing it. This is my first, I'm looking at the check like, wow, I made this just from doing something I would have done for free. Yeah, so those early years, I wasn't really booking a lot, but I would get things every once in a while to let me know, okay, cool, you have something to show for this journey. Teaching was the most constant thing I was doing, but still not making enough. The reality is I was not making enough money to sustain myself in those early years. Let's just say like 3 years, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to not be in an environment where I had to make a living, like out on my own. Imagine if I had told my mom I want to move to New York or something, I probably wouldn't have done it. So huge support system is a big reason for that. And when you're a parent, hearing your child want to pursue dance, especially if you don't know what it's like, you hear struggle. Like, I want to support my child, but this I don't think this career is known to.
Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, I don't think this career is known to have many financially lucrative, opportunities. But for a dancer, most people will go to teaching.
Right.
You may have your local studio, you may have a weekly slot, and it's not a lot of money. But if you love teaching, you do it. Well, honestly, even if you don't love teaching, some people do it because it seems to be the only way that they can make money.
That's how I started, ironically. Given I built a whole company around teaching dance. Yeah. I didn't do it because I was like, I want to be a teacher. This is a passion of mine. I did it because I was like, I'm sick of promo jobs. I don't want to, what am I going to do that means I can still dance and earn money in between jobs? So I started teaching. So let's delve into teaching a little bit while we're here. So who were you teaching?
Funny thing, when you say your transition to teaching was like after I started with teaching.
Right. Okay.
Because even for the high school performances, I was just like making up these little routines for us to perform. The idea of creating choreography and teaching it to someone was already embedded. But other than that, I never had I've only had one regular job. Everything else was I'm involved with kids. Right. And I'm teaching. Right. I'm a camp counselor or I'm teaching at a local dance studio. So I was used to already teaching kids, which, that teaches you a lot. If you can teach a beginner, I think you're a good teacher.
Did you hear that, guys? Straight from Rob himself.
Yeah. It's a different type of patience. You need to be able to articulate something that is natural to you, but may not be natural to someone else.
Exactly.
And for children, you have the task of attention span also, which, as a mother, that's something you'll know about. But so the love for teaching was there. I didn't realize how strong that love was. It was just, again, something that I do.
Right, right.
And then I started to get more recognition in New York as I did this performance, and then people wanted to learn the choreography from that performance. And my first class in New York had like over 50 people.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, there's a space for me here. There's a desire to learn from me. That's when my teaching career started. That's like the beginning of 2016. Okay. I say like career, like as in industry. I'm teaching in New York.
Broadway Dance Center.
Not yet. No, I was just renting space, and then I was given an opportunity to teach in an actual studio on a slot, probably the end of that year or maybe beginning of 2017. I was at Perry Dance.
Perry Dance, okay, cool.
Yeah, Broadway Dance Center has the glitz, the glamour. Yeah, and Brick House wasn't around yet, but Perry Dance was also a very prominent school. Yeah. It's just more known for their concert world. You're going to have great contemporary ballet. You're going to have all the other stuff.
And people here I am as this young, travel all over the world to come, like Perry Dance Center, for example.
You could do the program. You could do the visa program there, or Broadway Dance Center. The certificate program, 3 or 6 months. Yeah. So I was this young hip hop teacher, and then I started to find my voice, what is my movement language. So you could say that although the industry wasn't really doing anything major for me, I was cultivating myself as an artist, and I was being recognized and known for who I am as a mover instead of who I'm working with. So that came later. I would say 2018 is when things started to shift into, you're a booking dancer.
So let's get into that. Okay, so we're in 2018 now. Tell me about the transition from you're in this period of growth, which is such a luxury place to be, ironically, Yeah. It's nice to have that space and that time to develop.
It felt like there wasn't much pressure. I could just I could just grow.
It's like artist development. Which was the first really big job?
It was the Grammys with Kendrick Lamar. Fuck. Yeah, 2018. So that was towards the top of that year as well.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, okay. Kendrick is my favorite artist.
Really?
Till this day.
Did you audition for it?
Yeah, I did an audition.
Was he there?
And no, he wasn't.
Okay.
He did an audition. It was private. So already you're walking into the room thinking, okay, there's not many people here. I got a good chance. Fortunately, that job needed a lot of dancers anyway. You know, it was this militant performance where we had, you know, rows of dancers, and it was very powerful for the Black community as well, like that specific performance. So that was my first time on was that my first time on TV? It was definitely, I mean, it was first time on the Grammys for sure. Yeah. So I'm like,
how many times have you performed at the Grammys?
I've done 3 so far.
Grammys.
Yeah. Yeah. Kendrick, Rosalia, and was it Missy?
Okay.
Missy Elliott. Yeah.
So exciting. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy to say that. But yeah, Kendrick was my first, wow, I'm really here. I'm really doing it, you know. Yeah. Family, friends going crazy. Like, you doing the Grammys? What? Yeah.
On literally screaming at the TV.
Yeah.
Like, that's Rob. I think I saw a video of your, I was going through your highlights, looking at your credits on your Instagram. I think it's Missy Elliott, and it's your sister going, that's my brother. I know my brother. Yeah. And she picks you out, you know, straight away. So building up to Beyonce, I guess two questions. We've got the lane as you as an artist. And then we've got like the logistics of you hear about the audition, you go to the audition, and we're going to get into the audition process. How do you go from Kendrick Lamar, it's your first huge job, and then we're talking about Rosalia, Ciara, Normani, Missy Elliott, like the biggest artist in the world, and you're not just learning on the job, like every job that you do, you take something from, don't you?
For sure.
But you're also learning to be that professional, that if the choreographer says, Rob, can you do it like this at this bit? And you go, yep, and they don't need to tell you again. So what do you think you learn in that period of time? So I guess, is that going to be from 2018 to 2022?
Yeah.
That got you to the point where you can audition for Beyonce and book it as a that taught you as a I would say
2018 and 2019 were 2 huge years. Obviously, the pandemic hit in 2020. Right. But hands down, the most pivotal experience training-wise was when I did Monsters Cast. So for those that don't know, Monsters of Dance is a hip-hop convention. It's the first all-hip-hop convention. The alumni and the teachers that have come through Monsters are the industry's top choreographers and dancers. For example, Paris Goebel, Jaquel Knight, Sean Bankhead. So many people have come through Monsters, and they'll tour cities around the States, and hundreds of kids come, but they only give a Monster scholarship to 4 or 5 dancers in each city. Right. You get to the end of the tour. Really. Yeah. You think about hundreds of people going for 4 or 5 spots. And by the end of the tour, let's just say there's 80 to 100 finalists out of thousands and thousands. Then they have a meeting, the choreographers of Monsters, and they have to decide on 16 people, 15 or 16 people. So if you make Monsters Cast, you are seen as
one to watch.
Like, yeah, you are one of the top dancers up and coming in, you know. America. Yeah. So I made that in 2018. Now you do the show in LA, but there's a 2-week rehearsal process with these choreographers, and the show is going to be an hour and a half long, multiple shows in the same weekend. So that was by far the hardest experience I've ever gone through. There's long hours.
I guess it's worth noting for the guys listening as well, it's the same choreographers with Monsters of Hip Hop that are on these massive jobs. So it's not like they live separately. It's just that Monsters of Hip Hop is choreographers' space to be with the dance community. And then Nicki Minaj has got this great saying, "I bees in the trap." It's like the Grammys is the trap, and the Monsters of Hip Hop is where you prepare for the you know, am I right? Would you agree?
Yes. Because these choreographers have a history with Monsters, no matter how busy they are, they, you know, Monsters is them coming home. So here I am preparing for this show, and I get to work with Paris Goebel and Jaquel Knight. Right. but Jaquel Knight works with Beyonce, Paris Goebel works with Justin Bieber and Rihanna and all these other people. So I'm like, wow, here I am, not even on a job with these artists, but I'm getting to work with your choreographer. So they design it to be even harder than a real rehearsal process, so that when you get to these spaces, you're like built, like, you know, you're trained for it.
What does that, when you say train for it, what does that mean to you? Physically,
mentally, spiritually, like the rehearsal process for Monsters is so hard.
What's hard about it?
Like, because, well, for one, an hour and a half show that is focused on dance is way different than even a 2 or 3 hour show focused on music and dance intertwined. You know, the Monsters show was harder than what I did with Beyonce, because it's all dance. So physically, your body is going through a lot, you know, and you have long hours, and they jam pack it into this time frame, and you have all these different choreographers, and you have to switch and become a different artist for each number.
Yeah.
So maybe for this one, I need to be more in like a certain foundation of dance, and then this one I'm thinking of more stage and performance. Maybe this one is emotional. And then you have the industry's top choreographers and booking agencies, they're watching the show.
Right.
So a lot of people, if you weren't already signed.
Like the ultimate showcase.
Yeah.
Right.
Legit. And it's in LA, and a lot of people, most people, if you weren't already signed, when you get off that stage, you're going to be signed. You know, I've seen dancers do the Monsters show and their career just takes off.
Wow.
So that's essentially what happened to me. Getting to work with those choreographers gave me the mindset. It gave me like, wow, I'm ready. Like I am one of the best. So now let me push even more. And I started to book a lot more after that, 2019 especially, because I did Missy Elliott that year.
Right.
And if I had not gone through a grueling experience, so let's just make it general. If I had not gone through the preparation, like the long hours and getting poured into, I would not have been prepared for these later experiences.
Getting poured into?
So someone being poured into, it could be someone looking at you and saying, hey, I see something in you, but let's fine tune this. Let's work on that. I think you as an artist, let's capitalize on this because I see this in you. Just basically someone seeing me, and maybe I have a skill or a gift that I don't really know that I could hone in on more.
Did you feel like that came from a place of love?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our show director was Rhapsody James.
Really?
And she has this maternal warmth. So she's going to be hard on you.
Right.
But you know that it's coming from love. It's the same way that a mother or an auntie would talk to you, or a grandmother. So we knew like what we're a part of right now is special.
Right.
Because we had also seen what it's done for others. So even when it's hard, even when you're going through like even injuries, like, you know, man, this show is going to change my life.
Right.
It's going to change my career, which can change everything, you know?
Okay. And it kind of did.
Yeah, for sure it did. Okay. Yeah.
So take me up to the Beyonce audition. Can you talk to me a bit about what the audition process is like?
Yeah.
For Beyonce, in maybe in context of everything we've spoken about, because you said spiritually prepared.
Yeah, it all comes together for sure. So this was a private audition. So I mean, if you say open call for Beyonce, you're literally going to have the world flying in.
Well, she has, right? She's done the queues outside the studio.
Yeah, it's like, it would be insane, especially for this one, since it had been a long break. So it was private.
Did you know it was for the tour?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Sometimes they'll say mega artist, private audition, undisclosed like information, but we knew what it was for. And I had worked with the choreographers already because I had done the Color Purple and the Super Bowl with them.
Which Super Bowl?
I did the Super Bowl with Kendrick, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, like that whole West Coast.
Rob.
Yeah.
God, that must have felt good.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best experiences in my whole career for sure. Like the Super Bowl is, I mean, it's the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would be as if there's a World Cup halftime show. Like,
bigger.
You know, so the amount of people watching in that moment is insane.
So by the time you got to Beyonce, you were like, yeah, this is kind of a normal day at work for me.
Honestly, yeah. I had done so many things by then, and I had come into knowing who I am as a dancer. I knew that, okay, I am one of the strongest. So by the time that private audition came, it really was a matter of, is this for me?
Right.
Versus, am I good enough for it?
Because this is so deep, Rob. This is so deep. Because everything I'm getting from you listening to you speak is like, this is how I would love to be in my life. Like, I think we can push so hard for something because we go, this is what I want. Yeah. And what you want might not be for you.
That is
fucking hard.
That is the major key. Like, right. Because if we pinpoint an experience that we have to get in order to have good self-esteem or to be considered successful, if it's not in the cards for you, what are you telling yourself? You're telling yourself, oh, I'm a failure. Right. But that's not the case. I think you can set course, you can set a direction. Like, I would like to experience this. So I'm going to prepare for it, but I need to be, I think the word is malleable. I need to be able to be shifted and like, oh, okay, I see that that's actually what's for me. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I am a very spiritual person, and I feel as though walking into that environment, I knew if I don't get this, it's not because of my talent. Right. You know, maybe God is trying to shift me into something else, but by showing up, I'm doing my part. I'm saying yes to myself. Okay. Now, you have the option to say yes or no to me, but I've already said yes to myself by walking in here. Everyone else walking in here had to say yes to themselves too. So,
but what if they walked in and said on a, deep level, no.
Yeah. And it may show. It may show if you're confident, if you're, but think about it. If you're invited in the first place to a private call for the biggest artist in the world, clearly you must have a certain skill level, a certain value already. Like there's something in you where you were chosen out of, literally the world, because for an artist like that, she can get whoever she wants. She can get someone from Sydney, Australia to come in to audition.
The same day.
Literally. And they'll do it, People did fly in. People did do submissions online.
So how many people were auditioning with you?
Let's just throw out 50 guys, 50 girls, tiny. But give or take. Okay. Yeah, like that is. Right. So you have people that are like, man, why didn't I get the call? Why didn't I get the audition? Right. So it was a 3-day process. The first day we learned one number, which coincidentally was To Freedom, which has Kendrick on it. So I'm like, oh, wow, 2 artists that I would love to. Well, I did work with Kendrick now, Beyonce is the audition. So I'm dancing to Kendrick in the Beyonce audition. Like it should have been a sign. And everyone knows this album was predominantly paying homage to the ballroom scene. Right. And I am not in that scene at all. So I almost didn't even audition. Right. Like that would be a good twist. Like I almost didn't audition at all because I'm like, well, I don't know if this album is going to be for who I am as a dancer. There's plenty of people who fit that more than me. But you have to remember, an artist is going to use their whole catalog for a show. And they're also going to have, the choreographer is going to have certain interpretations, and they may see something in you that you didn't realize that, could fit. So I'm very glad I did the audition.
I'm glad you did too.
Yeah. I think throughout the course of the audition, there was 3 different pieces we had to learn. Okay. So you had to show something militant with strength and like lines. There was something that Dana Foglia taught, which was more like not full on contemporary, but it did have technique. Our shoes are off and we're on the floor. Right. So I'm like, oof. And there was one more. It was actually, wow, it was energy.
Was it really?
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It was energy. So that one was like the raw, like,
and
let me see.
Have you heard that yet? Had the album come out by this point?
Yes, the album had come out. Okay. Yeah, so energy was one of the deciding pieces as well. And then lots and lots and lots of freestyle. Okay. Like, freestyle is probably a huge reason why I got the job, because there's so many amazing dancers that can do the style. Maybe certain heights were more suitable, but they really did a good job handpicking people that meshed together and freestyle. Like I gotta tell you, I was so nervous with that audition because I'm looking at a lot of guys that are taller than me, and I'm like, man, Beyonce's not like short.
No.
You know, she's not
she's in heels.
So I'm thinking about that. And I'm thinking, I don't know if someone my height will get it. But I talked to one of the choreographers and she's like, just be you. Like, trust me, you're good. So her saying that and giving me that look was kind of like, Rob, like, I'm pulling for you.
Right,
like, you have it. Wow. So just like, don't even think about height. You just dance because you're a dancer. Like, you're a great dancer. So she kind of gave me that encouragement. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I'm a good dancer. Yeah. So shout outs to H.E.R. one of the choreographers.
Kind of like your angel in that situation. Like,
yeah. It's like, man, like you worried about the wrong thing. Like you're in the room. Right. If we didn't think that you were capable, you wouldn't have been in the room in the first place. So through that 3-day process, you know, you're seeing cuts being made. It's getting smaller.
Right.
And then another cut being made. It's getting smaller. The final day, there was more dancers added in.
Oh.
So I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. I was so close. Like, why are you adding more people? And these are the people that did online submissions or were just handpicked.
Okay.
So some people were just brought in like, hey, I want this person.
Right.
And some of the people booked it that got,
wow.
One person booked it from an online submission.
Wow.
And you got to think about that. Like, man, I'm not even in the room. But through this screen, through this recording, you must have seen enough value in me to bring me in.
I think they posted that. I think they posted the vid of their submission, maybe.
Yes.
Was it Justin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's from Philly, so we're like right next to each other. We have a history of dancing together. We did Missy Elliott together. He was my opposite during the Jersey Club section.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So how did you get the opportunity to choreograph that section? And I'm right, this is the diva section.
Yes.
Because I watched that and I was like, oh my God. Because I'm watching Beyonce, because Beyonce's killing it. But I'm watching you and Justin. Like, you've got this bright blonde hair. Like, this energy's coming through that I'd never seen. Like, there's something completely new and fresh about it. And just the rawness of it. I was really blown away because I think that's the thing that struck me. It was fresh and different and new. And then to hear that that's you. I mean, I knew it was you, but it's in like your choreography.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so in rehearsals, I forgot how it came up, but it was basically, hey, there's going to be Jersey Club in this mix. So I gave the look like, come on, like you guys know you got to involve me on this, right? Because in the industry, everyone pretty much knows I'm the one who does Jersey Club because not a lot of dancers from New Jersey that do Jersey Club are in the industry. Right. So it's a very underground style. It's not as worldwide as house.
How does Beyonce know about it?
Beyonce's tapped in. She sees everything online, but also the sound. The sound has been around for a long time.
Okay.
Maybe someone didn't know what it was called, but like you've heard Jersey Club even if you didn't realize it. And in recent years, it's started to become more prominent with major artists because they're using the Jersey Club bass line and they're realizing, oh shoot, when I can have a dance challenge attached to my song, my streams go up.
Right.
You know, you click this sound on TikTok and it's gonna be like you guys are helping my song.
Right.
So Nicki Minaj's
record labels, please take note, please take note.
And there's so many producers from New Jersey, but only a few have gotten the opportunity to actually collaborate with these artists. So yeah, like it wasn't it was a surprise to me that they were using it, but it was kind of like, well, it makes sense for the time right now. Jersey Club and just the style is really big on TikTok. Only represented it by a couple of different moves, but what I know about the culture and the community is that there's so much more. So that was my moment to kind of showcase, hey, I know you've seen this on TikTok, but here's a little bit more of it.
Right. Coming from the source.
So I'm so grateful to them for giving me the chance to choreograph that, and Just also was a part of like helping me formulate that.
It's just everything coming together.
Yeah, and the fact that we were opposites, and at one point she stops, everyone stops, they're standing there, and it's just me and him going.
Yeah, That's
And I'm like,
Rob,
man,
I live for that bit. What was it?
That was the highlight
Yeah.
of the show for me, because I'm doing something that I grew up doing.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it on
Oh
the biggest
God.
stage there is. And even the fact that we're like a little bit ahead of her,
Yeah.
it's like she's saying,
Go on.
like,
Yeah.
this is your moment, go.
Okay.
It was insane.
Tell me what it's like. I mean, if Monsters was more hardcore than Beyonce, I mean, I'm guessing the rehearsal process for Beyonce sounds, to be honest, it sounds like just like you were prepared and relatively...
Well, when I say Monsters is harder, what I mean is by the time that I'm performing on stage for Beyonce, because that process is mixed in with her singing, and sometimes I'm not on stage and sometimes I'm just changing, physically, it's not as hard as an hour and a half straight dancing. Right. But the experience, the rehearsal process is extremely hard. Like, we did a month of rehearsals in LA and then a month of production rehearsals in Paris.
Really?
Yeah. So that process is long hours, long hours. Physically, you're being asked to be like, let's say you're warmed up and you're ready to go, but then you have to wait because something is being done. Something else is being worked on. So your body is now getting cold. And then you're asked to go do it, and sometimes full out. So it's like, it's the up and down. It's the hot and cold. It is all of the changes. So I spent all this time learning it this way. And now you're saying, hey, actually, there's going to be fire there. So you can't do that anymore. Or actually, the artist is going to go this way instead of that way. So whatever you learn, flip it. Or, hey, you're actually going to, like, it's so many variables. So the preparation is important. Like, I need to know things will change. So I can't be married to the first option, the second option, the third option. Like, we went through so many changes, even musically. So that process is, you have to just adapt, which we talked about a little bit. Like, you can't learn some of this professionalism in a class. Class prepares you in certain ways. Like, I can learn how to be a better dancer. Maybe if the teacher is a good mentor figure, they can give me some of these tools and tips, but a lot of it you won't know until you're on stage. You know, you're not going to know how to handle
the pressure of that
until you're there. You know, maybe someone had a problem with their wardrobe, so they didn't come out for their cue.
Right.
So now you have to figure out, okay, do I move over to take the middle spot? Do I not come out to match them? What if someone drops something on stage? What if the artist drops something? Am I supposed to pick it up? Is it going to mess up a shot? All these things. Like,
and also hit your choreography.
Yes. So the choreography is the last thing on your mind. Yeah. By then you've had so many hours, you can't think about the choreography. It's just like, how do I show up for the moment? You know, so you have so many quick changes that almost like you don't make it, or sometimes you don't make it, or sometimes you're wearing something that you've never wore before and it rips on stage.
You guys had so many different like fashion changes.
Yeah, which was like a whole record-breaking thing in itself. So there were many times where I'm on stage like, man, I didn't wear this before, or this is actually his pants. So there's tighter, and like, you know, I've had rips on stage and you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And we're in the summer heat, a lot of these shows, because, you know, stadiums, the roof is open. It's so many things. Like, we're just like drenched, but you just gotta like, it definitely was an experience where I learned like, wow, I am capable of adapting to anything.
What do you think it is about you because something I think so fascinating, and particularly because, so what we do at SOS, people have the opportunity to become dance teachers, and they have the opportunity to build a dance business, and we give them the best tools we possibly can for them to be able to do that. And they come up against so much self-belief, imposter syndrome, you know, all of these things. Teaching that, you know, turning up to a studio that isn't full and going, I've only got one person. I don't have, you know.
I've been there, yeah.
Rob Bynes has been there, guys. I've been there. But you turn up to the next one. And you turn up to the next one.
Yeah.
You turn up to the next one. And you build. What is it about you that means you never gave up? Like, what is it about you that means that you're on stage, something's happened,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe your like stomach's hit the, or like your heart stopped, and you're like,
Yeah.
what do I do? Why you, Rob? Like, why do you think you're capable of these things? Why do you think you can do these things? Why can you push so hard for these things and show up the next day and do it all over again?
Yeah. I would definitely say it comes in a few categories, like physically and mentally. I was an athlete, so I have that certain level of push, or the certain inevitable fact. If you want to be great at something, you just have to put your time in.
Right.
So the idea of hard work, it's like, well, yeah, duh. Like, I just got to work hard. Let's get it. I had that competitive spirit in me. Like, I want to be greater.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that comes from sports, you think?
That part comes from sports for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a very practical person. So I can problem solve pretty easy. Like, okay, I'm having a hard time with this. What do I think is the solution? So I like to break things down to a point where it's just simple. Like, okay, this is bound to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
So when it is hard, I don't have to feel so broken. I'm like,
right.
But the biggest for me is definitely the spiritual side, because if I'm walking in knowing I do not walk alone in this life, what is, we say what is for me is for me. But when I'm praying, I'm thinking about like, prepare me to receive what is for me and to be able to recognize what is for me.
Wow.
So if I'm walking into a room and there's only a few students, I still know, hey, I was given a gift. I'm supposed to be here. And there's a reason why this isn't seemingly successful right now. What am I supposed to learn while I'm in this, you could say, a valley versus a mountaintop?
Mm-hmm.
So while I'm in the valley, instead of judging it, instead of letting it break me down, I just like to take notice of it. How am I feeling? What am I supposed to learn? Like, there's a reason why I'm here right now. It doesn't have to be so defeating. It could just be a lesson. And we see paragraphs of advice all the time, and we see, speeches and quotes and all this stuff, but these cliche things really are true, So in those moments where, like, to this day, I can still have a class that isn't as full as you would think, but I can't let it determine my value. If God gave me this gift and if I love it, all I need to do is say yes. I need to show up. I need to be prepared. I need to be my full self. And then whoever's going to enter this room, even if I'm only supposed to impact one person. So for anyone who hears this, it's like, if you had one person that day or two people, maybe you needed to affect their lives on that day. You never know what they're going to go on to do, who they're going to go on to talk to. Some people are going to grow up to be people that have worldwide reach, but some people are meant to just be small community leaders or small group leaders. And, if you have these major dreams, you have to be open to what your purpose actually may be. Maybe my purpose is to impact this one person who goes on to affect more lives. I can't be greedy with my gift. It has to be of pure intention. So I have to release expectation of what's going to happen.
It's almost like the ego part of it. I have to release this need to have the showy thing that I can post on Instagram. Yeah,
there's like a phrase, dying to self, meaning like it is not about me in this moment, which is hard because in a performance art like dance, we all have an ego to a certain extent, and sometimes the ego will help you because you can present yourself as this superstar, this confident performer, at the same time knowing I am still of service.
Mm-hmm.
I am of service. The person watching this is going to be affected. They come to this show to smile. They watch this TV show to smile. They're watching this because they love music and dance. I'm still of service to the audience, and I'm of service of myself as well, if it's therapeutic for me. So I don't think everyone is meant to have massive numbers. Even if you think about social media, some of the most brilliant creatives in the world, you click on their page, it's like, why doesn't this person have more followers?
Yeah.
Or why hasn't this video gone viral? And I think that's just the industry. Certain things are going to catch on more than others. Who I am as an artist
can't be determined by that.
Yeah. And the clip that I went viral for does not define who I am as an artist. It is a facet of who I am, and it showed a light to people. But if you click on my page, you're going to see the fullness of who I am. And you're going to see like, okay, I discovered you in this moment.
Right.
But, oh, man, this is how you got there. And this is who you are. And, okay, I can see why I was drawn to you. So it's important to see the spectrum of who someone is. You know, you may find an artist for one song, but go check out that full album. Go check out their previous album, because there's a reason why you got to that one song that you really liked, you know?
I'm so glad that we've done this podcast the way that we have as well, because we really got, yes, you dance for Beyonce, and that's amazing. And that's how people found you.
Yeah.
But it takes somebody special. Everyone's special. But for me, it takes somebody who really knows who they are, maybe, to be able to align with a stage that big and an artist of that level.
I agree. Yeah.
And speaking of, when you met the Queen for the first time, what was that like?
Oh, I audibly had a moment. I'm so glad the music was playing. You know, we're in rehearsals, and I'm facing this way. The door opens.
Yeah.
I turn around. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's gonna happen at some point, but there's nothing that can prepare you for meeting someone that you admire that much. And admire is, you know, such a light word, and I had a career of working with all these different people, but some people stand separately from the rest. I don't say above in a way, but like obviously separate. Like if I would have met Michael Jackson, if I would have met this person and that person, it's just different.
Yeah,
it's like a basketball player meeting Michael Jordan. It's just like, this one's different.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but it was warm. It was down to earth. It didn't feel like, I didn't feel less than.
No.
You know, the environment never felt like that. And because of the dancers and how we all got along and how everyone, like you said, had to know who they are. Right. The environment was like, okay, yeah, we're all supposed to be here, and we are a part of what is being built. Right. You know, so you get a real appreciation for her brilliance. And even if she doesn't say something directly to you, you feel it, and you know, like, okay, there's more, I can give more because I see you giving more. Right. And you gave more your whole career to get to this point. So I'm inspired.
Not scared.
I'm inspired, not scared. Yeah. Right. It's just like it's a thing without saying, like, I just know I have a job to do, because what this is going to be is far greater than this moment, you know. Maybe I messed up on this one step in rehearsals, but I know that moment is gonna be something greater. So I want to get it right, you know. So to wrap up, what is your advice to somebody who's feeling the fear, maybe feeling the self-doubt? Because I guess the person that's like, I know who I am, I'm rocking it, they don't maybe need it. But what's your advice to someone who can feel the pull of their potential? Yeah. And the pull of this next step of who they're going to become, but they're scared to walk the path. What's your advice to them? This is probably one of the most common questions, like, in life, or even like if I'm teaching and after class, you know, some students want to talk. The way I see it is like, I got somewhere to be. I have somewhere to be in life. I have somewhere to be. Like, it is like a mission. I have somewhere to be. So the longer that I let fear dictate, you know, my next step, it's just going to take me that much longer to get there. You know, like I said, I do not walk alone. So all I need to do is take a step in the direction. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I need to show up for myself, because there is so many people I don't even realize are watching me that need me to be my full self, so that they're inspired enough and can see like they need to be courageous enough to be themselves. You know, it's like having a little brother or little sister, like they see their older sibling do something and they're like, I can do that too. So I think everyone has someone watching them and that's rooting for them. You know, if you play the comparison game, it's nonstop. I'm always going to feel like I didn't do enough. But I think it's acknowledging like, okay, something has been placed on the inside of me. I have been given a gift. First of all, I have the gift of life. I can breathe. You know, I wake up in the morning. Okay, I want to do something with this. When it's hard, it's inevitable. Nothing worth it is going to be easy. So for the person that's looking for like the self-worth, the value, maybe they struggle with low self-esteem, or they can't quite figure out like, is this possible for me?
Right. Yeah.
I would say remove the expectation of like where it's going to end up and just take the step like 1% at a time. Like I'm just going to set the course. I'm going to be prepared for the outcome I want to receive. I'm going to, instead of thinking about the job, I'm thinking about what can I do? Like, what can I do to be a person who is ready for that job?
Right.
But above all, like as a spiritual person, I feel like God is going to guide me through it, you know?
So relax a little bit.
Yeah, relax and know like when you feel alone in something, there's someone right next door feeling the same way. So I think you can also look to community and say, hey, I noticed this about you. Like, can you share your experience? Like, talk to people. And I tell people all the time, you can really lean on community in moments where you may not have access to someone that you view on a higher platform.
Right.
Which I don't think should be the case anyway. But imagine if your community is telling you, yeah, I see your growth.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. Man, you never know how much someone really needed to hear that.
That's what we try and do at SOS. That's why on our side, I wanted to build a national, hopefully global community. Because I think, and that's why I had the vision of let's do one routine and everyone will dance that same routine at the same time, all over the country, maybe all over the world.
Man.
Because then you use the routine as the thing that connects everybody.
Exactly. Community is that word in itself. Like, if I can look around and see that I'm a part of something, maybe that's all I needed. Right. You know, like a child that just wants to be on the team.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like I get to, maybe I'm not on stage with Beyonce, but I have a community. Right. I have this, you know, I have so many people that are on the same path as me, and I can probably relate to them. So I think it's a beautiful thing what you've built.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to be a part of it.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, so the next steps, guys, I feel like I can say y'all because we've got Rob here. Is Rob is going to be choreographing not one but two routines, because while you're here, we were like, why would we do one when we can do two? So we're going to be doing Beyonce Energy for obvious reasons.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing Missy Elliott, Lose Control as well. Rob, I'm just so thrilled I got to talk to you, and I'm so glad it was recorded because
Thank you for having me.
You know, because I just think it's such a wonderful thing to hear from someone that is on a platform rocking it. But actually to hear how effortless is the wrong word because you worked really hard, but you seems like you were in a flow. It's like there's a wave. You said yes to the wave, and you let the wave carry you. Would you agree?
I would.
Yeah. And that wave took you to the global stage that we all watched you on. So thank you so much for your time. If any of our community has any questions, I guess, drop us a DM, guys. Or maybe put some comments on this post because we'll post it. Do you have anything you want to say to everyone before we finish?
Well, for the people that will be a part of the learning my choreography, I'm excited to have you all learn and see everyone do it. And
they're gonna be like, oh my God.
yeah. We're gonna have a good time. Got something special for y'all. Yeah. Thank you for all of the support. And if you are just discovering me from this, you know, definitely check out more of who I am.
Yeah. We'll put all of the links, all of the details, but we'll be following you for a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. God bless. Yes.
Rob, thank you so much.
Thank you.